This is the L2C Media Network on YouTube, and this is Sports Final, an abbreviated edition. And here with the head details and make the headlines in sports go around, Steve the Baxman Baxley. Baxman, you got it. All right, thank you very much, Harry, and good evening, everybody. Actually, good morning. The All-Star game uh, ended as expected, but we do have other sports to do. We are abbreviated because of the All Star break. So let's get to it, and it won't hurt. By the way, all the sports scores that we give you tonight, as always, is presented by William Hill Sportsbook. Let's make it interesting, but do so responsibly. All right. And if you're a Lansing Lugnut fan, you got to be happy for Vlad Guerrero Jr. of the Toronto Blue Jays, who not only helped hit the American League to a victory over the National League 5-2, 5-9-1 for the American League, 2-8-1 for the National League, but he was also picked the MVP. The winning pitcher was Ohtani for the American League. He's 5-1. Burns gets lost. He's 4-5, and Hendricks gets his 24th save. Players of the game, well, unofficial players of the game, were Ohtani from the American League, great pitcher. He pitched one full, didn't give up a hit, an earned run, a strike, or a walk. Hendricks for the American League pitched also one full inning, gave up 2 hits, no earned runs, got 1 strikeout, and gave up no walks. Wasn't a bad game considering where it was, but I think the ratings might say otherwise. All right, let's get to some other sports and break up Team USA. No, they didn't lose, but they finally got the monkey off their back. Team USA bounced back in a big way on Tuesday night in a 108-80 victory against Argentina. Argentina, which was sorely needed following back-to-back losses to Nigeria and Australia earlier in the week. After getting off to a hot start, Team USA was able to build on their lead in the third quarter to really end any hopes that Argentina had of making things interesting down the stretch. Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Bam Adebayo, and Damian Lillard were fantastic for the U.S. as the All-Stars performed up to the level that fans have grown accustomed to seeing over the course of their respective careers. It'll be imperative for Team USA that these 4 players continue to produce at a high level if the U.S. wants to achieve its goal of bringing home another gold medal. With a win, Team USA moves to 1-2 in their Olympic tune-up games with a second matchup against Australia on tap for Friday night at 6 on the NBC Sports Network. So enjoy and good luck. Okay, and that was Team USA. Let's go now to some little reports before we get to other scores, if there are. In the National Football League, well, somebody had to do it. The New England Patriots' way of doing business has been criticized over the past few seasons. Cassius Marsh has discussed the Patriot way that propelled the franchise to 6 Super Bowl titles before and recently doubled down on his criticism of the team. Marsh, currently a linebacker with the Pittsburgh Steelers, spent just 9 games with the Patriots in 2017. He wasn't a fan of the way things are done in Foxborough. He said via CBS Boston, quote, "The Patriot way is pretty. It's extremely impressive, like they work day in and day out. What they instill is pretty legendary, but they also treat players like crap. You don't have a lunch period. You get there and you have to make time to eat in between meetings. And there are like 5 to 10 minute periods where I would literally go scoop food, put it in a cup, and just crush it real quick before I got to go to the next meeting. It's just like there's no BS, there's no fun, end quote. Philadelphia Eagle right tackle Lane Johnson has also criticized the Patriots in the past. Though he never played for New England, Marsh was in the trenches even if it was for just over 2 months. Now, if the Patriots don't make a deep playoff in the post-Tom Brady era soon, there's a possibility more players may open up about their stance on how business is really conducted in New England. Maybe New England will find themselves a new coach. In tennis, very interesting. At least 2 Wimbledon matches are under investigation for allegedly being fixed, according to a report by German newspaper Die Zeit. The investigation was launched after several specific and suspicious bets took place surrounding matches during the tournament earlier in July. Now, according to the report, suspicions were raised over a first-round men's doubles match. There were large bets placed against a favored duo at irregular times. The pair ended up winning the first set, and that increased the odds that they would be defeated. However, the tandem ended up losing the next 3 sets. Now, the second match allegedly is focused on the opponents of a German player in a singles match. After the second set, there were extremely high bets that were placed on the exact score of the third, bets and prop bets surrounding the number of service games. Those bets ended up coming to fruition. The International Tennis Integrity Agency has not released any information surrounding these match-fixing investigations. The ITIA has received 34 different reports of strange matches since January. Now, this isn't the first time this year that match-fixing has been investigated at a Grand Slam tennis tournament. Russian tennis player Yana Suzukawa was arrested for allegedly fixing a match at the French Open in 2020 in June. So, once again, the integrity of sport now in question. In NBA news, Kawhi Leonard has had surgery to repair a partially torn ACL, the Los Angeles Clippers announced on Tuesday. Leonard initially suffered the injury in Game 4 of the Clippers' second-round series against the Utah Jazz. When he was asked about his knee after Game 4, he responded, quote, "It's good, next question," end quote. But the team later found him to be more seriously injured than previously thought. He was held out the last 8 games of the postseason for the Clippers, including the entire Western Conference Finals series against the Phoenix Suns. Now, the exact nature of the injury Leonard suffered during the postseason was not known at the time. The Clippers did not offer a diagnosis beyond a knee sprain, and he was ruled out on a game-by-game basis, never for the postseason as a whole. The Clippers rallied without him to come within 2 games of the NBA Finals, but were ultimately eliminated in 6 games by the Suns. Leonard averaged a stellar 30.4 points in the postseason on over 57% shooting. In addition to the nature of the injury, the exact timeline of the injury is not yet known. A torn ACL typically takes approximately 1 year to recover from. That puts Clippers in a similar position to the Denver Nuggets, due to the unique schedule this season has been played under. Leonard suffered his injury mid-June, later than he otherwise would have, just as Jamal Murray suffered his injury in April. The difference is that Murray suffered a full tear. Leonard apparently has suffered only a partial tear. No 2 injuries are fully alike, but Brooklyn Nets guard Spencer Dinwiddie suffered a partially torn ACL in December, and reports indicated that he may have been able to return to the NBA for the NBA Finals had the Nets made it that far. Such a recovery could have Leonard back for the middle of next season. But without knowing the severity of the tear, an exact timeline is still unclear. Leonard has a player option for next season worth $36 million. If he declines it, he can re-sign with the Clips for only 4 seasons as an early bird free agent. That's the same length of contract he could receive from another team in free agency. He'd need to stay with the Clippers for one more year in order to earn full bird rights and the ability to sign a new 5-year deal. Now, with this injury, though, he may be more willing to accept the security of a long-term deal with the Clips. Now, a long-term deal with the Clippers now. The first deal he signed in Los Angeles had only 2 guaranteed seasons, but Leonard is now 30 and has a meaningful history of injuries. Regardless, Clippers now figure to be in a very difficult position next season. They proved they could hold their own without Leonard for a brief period in the playoffs, but a months-long absence might be another story. The pressure will now fall on Paul George and the rest of the roster to keep the team afloat until he is able to return. Womp womp. Back in the NBA, the free agency fandango has just begun. The Atlanta Hawks made a surprising run to the Eastern Conference Finals this year on the strength of Trae Young's phenomenal playoff debut, as well as the depth of Bojan Bogdanovic, Kevin Huerter, Danilo Gallinari, Lou Williams, Clint Capella, and John Collins. Now, while the Hawks couldn't overcome the Bucks, in part due to an injury to Young, it showed a glimpse of what this team can become in the very near future. But it also piqued the interest of other teams around the league and some of Atlanta's players. Collins, who is set to become a restricted free agent this summer, is expected to receive interest from several teams, including the Dallas Mavericks, Miami Heat, San Antonio Spurs, and Minnesota Timberwolves. Shams Charania of The Athletic reports. 14 points, 8.7 rebounds, and 35.7 shooting percentage, boasted from deep per game, by the way, boasted his value, and is likely to net him a max contract, Shariano reports. It's the outcome Collins was hoping for when he declined a reported $90 million from the Hawks before this season to bet on himself and secure more money. What more can we say? But wow. Okay, do we have a little bit more sports? Yes, we do. A little. Pourquoi? Okay, and more NBA news. Oh, looks like Ben Simmons will be is involved in a big old basketball rumor. Philadelphia 76ers enter the offseason as a crossroads. Do they improve the roster around MVP finalist Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons and hope the latter can flourish after working on his shot during the summer, or do they trade the point guard and bring in a new talent to pair with Embiid? After after the second round bouncing in the playoffs of the 76ers in the loss to the Hawks, reports surfaced that Philadelphia was committed to making the Embiid-Simmons duo work. But as time has passed with free agency and the NBA draft just a few weeks away, it appears as though that thinking has changed with the Sixers organization. The Sixers are reportedly looking to net an all-star caliber player in return if they were to trade Simmons. But given his disappointing performance in the postseason, the return may not be as high as Philadelphia could have gotten a year ago. However, interest in Simmons still remains high. Shariano reports also, and that makes sense given his resume, which includes being an all-NBA player in 2020, two-time all-defensive first-team player, and a Rookie of the Year winner. Simmons is also just 24 years old and with 4 years remaining on his contract. So any team that trades for him would have the security of knowing he would be around to at least 2025 when he's set to become an unrestricted free agent. While Simmons being on the trading block is head-turning news, it's not the first time he's been in this position with the Sixers. When the Rockets were looking to trade James Harden earlier this season, the Sixers were reportedly in the running to nab the former league MVP. Simmons was the centerpiece of that deal. But Philadelphia was unwilling to include rookie Tyrese Maxey, and the deal fell through. Now, since that time, the Sixers appeared to be figuring things out with the Simmons-Embiid duo as Philadelphia finished the regular season with the best record in the East and the number one seed heading into the postseason. However, those doubts of Simmons being unable to coexist with Embiid reared its ugly head again in the second round, where Simmons' flaws were magnified with each missed free-throw attempt and tepidness to take any shot outside the paint. It led to pretty pointed public criticism from Embiid and head coach Doc Rivers after the Sixers were bounced from the postseason. While it's unclear which teams are talking to the Sixers about a potential trade, it's clear that Simmons' future in Philadelphia is as murky as it's ever been ahead of the upcoming 2021-2022 season. And believe it or not, that is your headlines. Let's see if we had any action today. July 13th. And we did. Let's go to AAA in minor league action. Right now in the bottom of the seventh, Vegas and Reno are tied at 7. Final scores: Syracuse 18, Rochester 2, Scranton Wilkes-Barre 5, Worcester 2, Durham 8, Jacksonville 1, Buffalo 2, Lehigh Valley 1, Gwinnett over Charlotte 5-3, Toledo over Iowa 2-1, Indianapolis over Omaha 3-2, Nashville over Louisville 2-1, Sugar Land over Tacoma 3-1, St. Paul over Columbus 19-1, Albuquerque over Round Rock 3-2, Memphis over Norfolk 4-3, Sacramento over Salt Lake 9-4, and Oklahoma City over El Paso 3-1. Okay, are there any action in AA? Yes, there was. Let's go to it. Akron over Harrisburg 8-3. Altoona over Binghamton 6-3. Somerset over Richmond 3-2. Mississippi over Tennessee 11-4. Portland over Reading 9-3. New Hampshire over Hartford 11-5. Erie over Bowie 7-5. Midland over Amarillo 5-4. Pensacola over Chattanooga 11-3. Montgomery over Biloxi 7-2. Corpus Christi over San Antonio 4-1. Rocket City over Birmingham 8-5. Tulsa over Wichita 7-2. Northwest Arkansas over Arkansas 9-4, and Frisco over Springfield 7-6. Okay, we go from AA to High A, and here we go. Right now in the top of the 8th, it's Eugene 10, Spokane 4, bottom of the 7th, Everett 6, Tri-Cities 4. Vancouver in the top of the 6th leads Hillsboro 2-1. Final score: Asheville over Greenville 11-4. Greensboro over Rome 2-0. Aberdeen over Hickory 9-4. Brooklyn over Jersey Shore 1-0. Hudson Valley over Wilmington 9-4. Fort Wayne over West Michigan 6-2. Cedar Rapids over South Bend 8-5. Lake County over Lansing in 6, 8-0. Wisconsin over Peoria 6-1. Quad Cities over Beloit 6-5. Great Lakes and Dayton were rained out. They'll be doing that game tomorrow, probably a double dip. And Winston-Salem Bowling Green will also be a doubleheader on July 14th as well. Okay, that was High A. Let's head on over to Low A. Tell you right now, the top of the 11th, Inland Empire leads Rancho Cucamonga 4-3. Top of the 8th, Fresno leads Stockton 5-2. Final scores: Tampa over Lakeland 6-2. Lynchburg over Fredericksburg 7-5. Fort Myer over Jupiter 12-10. Dunedin over Clearwater 9-1. Carolina over Kannapolis 10-4. Down East over Delmarva 9-6. Bradenton over Daytona 6-5. Columbia over Myrtle Beach 4-3. Salem over Fayetteville 16-8. Charleston over Augusta 8-5. Lake Elsinore over Visalia 14-3. San Jose over Modesto 9-2. Palm Beach and St. Lucie were postponed. They'll be made up tomorrow in a double dip. And that's your minor league baseball scoreboard right there. Yes, sir. All right, we're going now to our media bites. And here's a big one. And once again, the situation between Rachel Nichols and Maria Taylor has gotten more murkier. There's now an interesting follow-up from last week's coverage of the New York Times releasing audio of Rachel Nichols' 2020 comments on Maria Taylor. All the subsequent discussion that drew about Nichols' response in ESPN's response, ESPN's past history with black employees, and the larger cultural context of these events. The latest news on this front comes from an internal memo in response to the Times piece that ESPN President Jimmy Pitaro sent to ESPN staff on Friday. Washington Post reporter Ben Strauss mentioned this memo near the end of a piece published Tuesday morning, which was largely about Stephen A. Smith's Shohei Ohtani comments, and Alex Weprin of The Hollywood Reporter published the entire memo Tuesday evening. Most of that memo isn't notable. It's Pitaro saying, quote, "We have a much better story than what you've seen this week," end quote, which is to be expected, and it's him outlining various ESPN diversity initiatives. If you're interested in the full thing, it'll be in Weprin's piece, but a couple of parts of this that suggest that there are areas of the Nichols Taylor saga worth further look. Specifically, whatever happened between October 2019, when they announced that Nichols' portion of the NBA Countdown hosting would include the finals, and the NBA's July 2020 restart, which had Taylor hosting Countdown for the finals, which led to Nichols' call that led to all this. First, the memo. Quote, "We respect and acknowledge there are a variety of feelings about what happened and the actions we took. The details of what took place last year are confidential, nuanced, and complicated personal matters. Before I get into details, I do want to be clear on one thing. Maria Taylor was selected as NBA Countdown host last year because she earned it. Please know our commitment is that assignments and opportunities at ESPN are based on merit, and any concerns, remarks, or inferences that suggest otherwise have been and will continue to be addressed." Now, this is notable because the second paragraph is indirectly addressing the comments from Nichols that started all this, which were as follows. Times article. Quote, "I wish Maria Taylor all the success in the world. She covers football, she covers basketball. If you need to give her more things to do because you're feeling pressure about your crappy long-time record on diversity," which, by the way, I know personally from the female side of it, like, just find it somewhere else. You are not going to find it from me or taking my thing away, end quote. Now, it's worth keeping context of those comments in mind. They were on a phone call that Nichols believed was private, a call that was the longtime LeBron James advisor, Adam Mendelson. They became public because that call was recorded on a server back at ESPN headquarters via a webcam connection to Nichols' computer. Exactly how that happened is unclear. The simple explanation is that Nichols left the camera running, but others have suggested more nefarious explanations. Then were videoed by people who saw that and passed around inside and outside ESPN, leading to this eventful Times report a year later. And notably, those comments came after ESPN had actually taken Nichols' thing away. That thing was hosting the ABC coverage of the NBA Finals, which they specifically said she'd be doing in October 2019. About their plans for splitting Countdown hosting amongst Nichols and Taylor following Michelle Beadle's exit. Quote, "Rachel Nichols will expand her role as host of The Jump, ESPN's breakout daily NBA studio show. The Jump will now serve as the pregame. The on-site pregame show on ABC for the marquee NBA Saturday primetime on ABC series, which airs January to April, as well as the pregame show on Christmas Day prior to the LA Lakers and LA Clippers primetime on ABC. As part of her expanded role, Nichols will host the NBA Finals on ABC next June, as well as marquee games throughout the NBA playoffs as one of the NBA's longtime preeminent voices. Nichols helped launch The Jump in 2015 and will continue to host the Monday through Friday editions of the show from ESPN's Los Angeles Production Center at 3 Eastern on ESPN. Maria Taylor will expand her role to host NBA Countdown, ESPN and ABC's longtime pregame show from ESPN Seaport Studios in New York. Taylor will also have a significant role hosting playoff editions of Countdown across the ESPN networks. Evening, LDG of Geeks. Evening. Her high-profile multi-sport role will continue as an integral part of the College Game Day and ABC Saturday Night Football teams. Taylor will also continue to, in her role as lead host of ESPN's women's college basketball coverage, culminating with the NCAA, and we just lost our link here. Boy, this is going to be a fun day, isn't it? Yes, it is. Let's, we finally got it back. Taylor will also continue her role as lead host of ESPN's women's college basketball games. Coverage, culminating with the NCAA women's basketball tournament. Of course, broadcasts, and that's end quote. Of course, broadcasts sometimes see personal changes in the time between release and the event itself. There are plenty of people who have been announced as doing one thing for a time period, only to have that thing later changed before that time period's up. And ESPN in particular has done this a lot. In particular, this happened with previous NBA Countdown host Michelle Beadle. Whatever happened to her anyways? Beadle returned to ESPN in 2014 after a horrid stint with NBCSN. She began hosting Countdown in April 2017, replacing Sage Steele in a rare mid-year move, and then was part of a new morning show called Get Up in 2018 with ESPN, even relocating Countdown to Bristol and then New York City so she can continue there as well. In August 2018, she left Get Up and signed an extension with ESPN to, quote, return to Los Angeles to focus on the NBA, end quote, including hosting Countdown, sent back to LA at this point. She was then replaced by Nichols and Taylor ahead of the 2019-2020 season and negotiated a buyout with ESPN in the fall of 2019, so Nichols isn't even the first NBA Countdown host to lose that role. At any rate, Pitaro's assignments and opportunities at ESPN are based on merit. Comments can be defended, but it's worth noting that merit in this context is subjective. Television hosting isn't math or hard science where there's a correct outcome to an equation. The job someone does is evaluated independently by viewers and executives, and those evaluations differ, and they depend on the viewer's preferences, real and or perceived. There are obvious wrong things that can happen, but when you have people who aren't making those obvious mistakes, an evaluation of who's better is going to be largely subjective. And thus, this. Sometimes merit is just who or whoever's delegated a particular staffing decision to wanting this job. And that would seem to be what came up in this issue, or in this particular case. There didn't appear to be a number of obvious on-air missteps from Nichols ahead of the move, or a lot of public criticism of her work hosting, or even much external speculation that a move was about to be made. So the remaining questions, key that they are simply this. When that decision was made, who made it? Pitaro or someone under? Why? Can ESPN choose to change NBA Countdown host at any point, regardless of what they previously stated in a press release? Maybe. Barring contract issues, part of Nicole's call had her saying finals hosting was in her contract, but even then they could presumably make an on-air change with at worst an offsetting payment or other action to remedy the breach. They've definitely brought out or reassigned under contract people before. And it's also quite possible this change wound up working out for him. Taylor certainly received a fair bit of praise for her hosting of Countdown. But again, the questions still remain on Pitaro. Now, putting forth such a public defense of that decision without specifics, it's worth mentioning that some of this might be linked to the details of production around last year's bubble. Countdown to Finals originated from ESPN studios in New York, while Nichols was on scene in the Orlando bubble. But that doesn't seem to entirely explain it. The phone call suggested Nichols really cared about the finals host, so she presumably would have left the bubble in time to host for the finals if that had been an option for her. Of course, ESPN themselves don't have to reveal internal decision-making deals to the public. there have been plenty of outside reporting on ESPN's decisions that the company doesn't sign off on, including the New York Times piece. And there's been plenty of outside reporting on ESPN, citing sources who are clearly company executives, etc., and so on. And that leads us back to the first part of the statement, which includes that the, quote, details of what took place are confidential, nuanced, and complicated personal matters. Those details may be, well, all three of these, but those details, or the broad outlines, definitely have some relevance to the public, especially as context for the parts of the Nichols Taylor saga that have already been reported, and especially with Pitaro's larger memos saying, quote, we have a much better story than what you've seen this week, end quote. The details of this decision have a lot of relevance to that overall ESPN story, and specifically to this little Nichols Taylor splat. And it'll be interesting to see if they ever do get reported, and if we ever learn about why and when ESPN took Nichols' final hosting job away. Maybe some of the rumors of what happened in the bubble might be confirmed. You never know. Neither will we. Anyway, okay, we got about 15 minutes, so let's kick it up a notch with some big old-fashioned football scores. And we got a lot for you tonight, we hope. Let's pop up the football scores, and no, we don't want cricket. We want soccer, guys. Come on, give us soccer. Thank you. Okay, let's give you soccer from tonight or Tuesday night. By the way, don't forget Nick Rekieta. He was on this afternoon with a special show. He's on tonight with his regular show. It's going to be a potpourri night. But right now, let's get to the soccer scoreboard. In the qualifying first round of the Champions League, Flora over Hibernians 3-0, aggregate 5-0. Lincoln Red Imps 5, Fulla Esch 0. In the aggregate, it was 7-2 Red Imps. Riga FC and Malmo tied at 1, but Malmo won with the aggregate of 2-1. Sharif Tiraspol beat Tuaduras 1-0, the aggregate 5-0 Sharif. Barak Banga Luka defeated CFR Klug 2-1. CFR Klug in the aggregate won the full set 4-3. Mura 5-0 winner over Shlingia, but in aggregate it was 6-0 total Mura overall. Ferencvárosi over Pristina 3-1 in total, 6-1 for Ferencvárosi. Helsinki over Budućnost 4-0 in total, 7-1. Zagris over Linfield 2-1. Zagris got the overall 5-2. Shamrock Rovers over Slovan Bratislava 2-1 in total. Slovan Bratislava beat Shamrock 3-2. Ludogorets over Shakhtyor 1-0 in total. 2-0 Ludogorets wins. Dinamo over Valur Reykjavik 2-0 in total, 5-2. In the Europa Conference League, Dundalk defeated Newtown 1-0 in total, 5-0. In the Gold Cup, Costa Rica beat Guadeloupe 3-1. Scottish League Cup action, Heart of Midlothian over Cove Rangers 3-0. Inverness Caledonia Thistle over Peterhead 2-0. Dundee over Bora Rangers 4-0. Fulfar Athletic and Montrose ended in regular time. Goose eggs, zip, but they won but Forfar won 5-4 on penalty kicks. Cowdenbreath over Alloa Athletic 1-0. Wraith Rovers over Brechin City 4-0. Ayr United over Edinburgh City 3-0. Falkirk over Albion Rovers 5-1. Queen of the South over Adnan Athletic 3-1. Clyde over Stranier 1-0. Greencock Morton and East Kilbride ended in a goose egg tie with Greencock Morton winning 5-4 on penalties. Steinhouse Muir over Dumbarton 2-1. St. Mirren over Dunfermline with the score of 2-1. And that is all she wrote on that, which gives us a chance to, about 7 minutes, give you what we got in the world of sports right here, right now. So let's do it. With the qualifications for the Europa. Oh, we've already done that. Okay, thank you. Here we go. Japanese baseball action. The Auric Buffaloes blanked the Nippon Ham Fighters 5-0. Mazui got the win for the Auric Buffaloes. He's 3-5. Aikida got the loss for Nippon. He's 3-9. Chibalati Marines over the Cebu Lions 7-6. Iwashita gets the win for the Marines. He's 8-4. Matsumoto gets a loss for the Lions. He's 7-1. The Akut Swallows over the Yomiuri Giants 11-6. Okugawa gets the win for the Akut Swallows. He's 4-2. Sanchez gets a loss. He's 5-5. Recton Golden Eagles over the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks 6-2. Tanaka gets the win for the Eagles. He's 4-5. Ishikawa gets lost for the Hawks. He's 3-8. Yokohama Bay Stars over the Hanshin Tigers 8-2. Sakamoto with the win for the Bay Stars. He's 3-2. Alcantara for the Tigers gets lost. He's 2-2. Hiroshima Carp over the Chinichi Dragons 8-3. Curry with the win for the Carp. He's 7-5. Fukutani gets lost for the Dragons. He's 4-9. In the third inning, Nippon Ham Fighters and Auric Buffaloes are goose eggs. We go now to South Korea. No action. Kia Tigers, Samsung Lions, KT Wiz Swang, NC Dino, LG Twins, Kaiwon Heroes, Lottie Giants, Hanwha Eagles, and SSG Landers and the Doosan Bears all postponed due to rain. And that is going to pave the way for us to say au revoir to you folks. Au revoir. But we're not going just yet. No. We're not going just yet. Are you kidding me? For those of you who saw that All-Star game, that was, I'm going to say it, that was pretty exciting. Personally, I should personally take a little time to describe. I thought the All-Star game was somewhat okay. It wasn't exciting. The uniforms for the teams or for the players, they were generic and they really sucked. They should never changed. Let the players of the team selected, let them wear their uniforms, the proper uniforms. Then again, I'm a traditionalist. And personally, do. And just anyway, I thought the game was okay. personally. Didn't like the uniforms. I'm a traditionalist in that. I know that's going to be something to be talked about. Also, I think maybe the MLB should have stayed in Atlanta because the move is going to cost the small businesses and the businesses that could have had a lot of money coming from the tourist, a whole lot of bread and butter. I mean, look at it this way in Atlanta. I think they're going to lose. Maybe some businesses are going to lose over in total around 10 million, 10 to 15 million, possibly even more. And some businesses will probably shut down. Anyway, they announced the Emmy nominations. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But I will say this once again: streaming sites like Netflix got most of the nominations, and WandaVision was just one of many Marvel shows on Disney Plus. It also got some notice. So as I say, get ready for a whole lot of shaking going on. The Emmys are coming up in September on CBS, hosted by Cedric the Entertainer of The Neighborhood. All righty. We are about done, folks. Tonight, another short edition, and we have filled for about almost 45 minutes of it. But just want to tell you, folks, we're back to an hour. I do believe tomorrow we're back to an hour show because that's when I do believe most of the sports. Well, we have no hockey. I think we'll have the NBA finals. We'll also have a review of tomorrow's big, exciting, and action-packed AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite. All that and a whole lot more good stuff as the sports night and our show gets back to some sort of normality of sense. Yeah, our show was sense. That's right. Because for the past 3 days with baseball having a few days off, we've our big old sporty balls haven't felt full before. So hopefully we'll be back to having big, full sporty balls. And we hope you'll tune in. But for now, I'm Steve the Baxman Baxley. That is Sports Final. For all of us here on the late night shift, we're back tomorrow, regular time, 11:35, with a full hour of sports power. Till then, have a good night, everybody. This has been a presentation of Mystifying Creativity Productions in association with the L2C Media Network and L2C Sports, and we will talk to you folks tomorrow. Thank you, and good night, everybody.